Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham. Once again, got the guys back together. Skip Miller, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great.
Parker Mansour, how you doing?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Beautiful day in Colorado. So we are going to give an update on what we launched as the Stand in the Gap initiative. For those of you who know us, know that we started this, it seems like forever ago that we started with updates of the coronavirus.
Yep.
And you kind of just...
Yeah, that was like April and May we were doing that.
Yeah, can you give us like the 30-second what that was, like where we went from there to here?
Sure. So like kind of putting out early on in the podcast where we were just trying to get the information out to our community about the coronavirus, about what was going on with that, some of the government responses to it. And we started to talk about preparedness for that kind of early in that. I would say like March, April, May, we started to do that every like 2 or 3 podcasts. And then as the protests started and riots started to happen, we talked a little bit more about that kind of as that developed through the summer. And then what about 3 months ago? Yeah, 2.5, 3 months ago.
Brother, there's been so much. It seems like a million years ago because this year just won't end.
It does.
And it seems like that was George Floyd ago. That was racism ago. That was election ago.
Yeah.
So it seems like that.
Yeah.
But I think that was just providing that information for our people because we're just trying to figure it out together and what was going on and then get folks ready for it.
But then about 3 months ago, we kind of said this, okay, we're doing that for our community. We want to expand that out into the greater Denver community, and that's where Stand comes in.
Yeah. Locally, we were looking at something to start. We talked to these guys and we were saying, hey, let's go find something to get behind. We went to some local events and ironically, that led us to Mike Glover for American Contingency. Looked at his stuff and, a lot of respect for that guy, a lot of respect for, Tig and some other guys. It just wasn't quite our flavor and it wasn't local because I think American Contingency very much, if you checked out the last podcast, I couldn't believe how much we had in common. He's throwing just a bigger net kind of nationally. We're focused in South Denver right now and really just pouring into these people and make sure they're prepared. But unbelievable that the last podcast we actually, I did an interview with him. Learned all that stuff. I love to see not only vets, yes, but just individuals that are just basically putting some skin in the game, saying, okay, you guys talking to me, and specifically Skip saying, why aren't you leading this? Why is Able Shepherd not taking a leadership role in getting people prepared? It's what we do all day, every day. Like the 3 people at this table, this is what we do, and we pour into our local community. And then other people say there's value there. I can benefit from that.
Absolutely.
So then Stand in the Gap initiative was launched. So just as a quick update, let me just throw this out here and let some of the group leaders that have started these subgroups for Stand. We didn't start them to run them all. We get people started so then Parker can run his. He's the guy, he's probably the smartest one of all of us because you meet at a brewery?
Tap house.
On a weekday, and he has the best numbers, but I'll have to rethink that.
Coincidence? Maybe not.
I don't think so. So right now, Stand in the Gap initiative, there's 9 groups that we could just remember off memory throughout the local area that are running themselves. So these people are better prepared than when we started. That was the goal. So that's a success. We have 700 plus emails of people waiting to gain value. Again, we will pour resources into you. We're not going to run your group. I'll run my group, I'll run his, and we will all kind of share. That's what we're doing right now is we're going to talk about what those groups are doing, update, and keep driving forward. Right now, I know, Skip, you were talking about, and I'll let you guys talk about it in a second, driving to homes, driving individually. Once you trust these people in your group, I need to know where you live. We started off in my group because there were some ladies that showed up by themselves. And we said, if you're not comfortable giving me your address, that's fine, because I totally understand. Give me a proximity address. So if you live next to Starbucks, then give me the address of that. That way I'll know kind of where you're at. Because my group, I have a map of Castle Rock. And all the dots, you don't know their name, you don't know whatever. I can print that off and just snap a screenshot, send it. Now you know where our people are. Now, if you're somebody by your house, I want to know who those are, but I'm not giving away anybody's address. I'm going to introduce you guys in a meeting, and then you're going to talk, and the people you're comfortable with, share your own address, because they need to know where you live if they're going to come help you. But you got to earn that trust, because I totally get it. There's been dinners, there's been barbecues, there's an orienteering class, orienteering, map and compass, and all that kind of stuff. Just some old school good stuff to know in an emergency. That came out of a volunteer from my group. Radio's programmed. We had I don't even know how many now, probably 20, I'm guessing. How many meetings have we've had where we brought laptops, people bought the radios that, we told you about, plug them in, hit a button, and now everybody's programmed. Now you can talk to the people in your group. So that's a big deal. Guiding readiness preparation, meaning I've had meetings where I'm literally just spouting off pieces of gear that people hadn't heard of, and I'm sending links out and they're buying them right there on Amazon. So they're just going through and buying stuff, and then, basically practice that with your family. And then the planning phase. We've done to date 5 large group gatherings at churches. It's always been churches because they volunteer or whatever. The space, we get together and talk to these communities, and we just pour into them. I'll call that the introduction and invitation phase. We've stepped over that after the 5th one that was pre-planned, and now we're into the action phase. Like, let's do some things together and continue adding value to those 700 plus people that we've now met and now know us. So can you talk to me about kind of your group? And
let's just back up. Please. For those of you that don't, maybe you're hearing this for the first time you've been on the podcast. So the circles that Jimmy is talking about, they are we call them the 2 and 10 circles. And in your life, to deal with whatever life throws at you, our concept is that you have 2 people within 2 minutes and 10 people within 10 minutes that can respond to a real world emergency in your home. Whether that's, whatever that is, whether that's a snowstorm. In Colorado this summer, there were fires everywhere. It's a forest fire. You got to get out. Where can you go? Who's going to help you in that emergency? And that's when we mention circles, that's what we're talking about, those circles. And so those kind of people that have said, yeah, if you're in trouble, I'll help you. Kind of just being a good neighbor. And so, out here, we're shooting this out in Elizabeth, and that's the circle that I'm involved with and kind of guiding through this process. And so one of the things that we've done and we're a little bit different than many of the other circles where we didn't really have a whole lot of, hey, I just met you. Most of the people in the circle out here are in part of the Able Shepherd program already, so they know each other at least by sight. And a lot of them know each other very well. So we kind of blew through that whole, hey, I don't know if I want to give you my address and everything. And I totally get that that's a totally legit thing for people you just met. For us, that wasn't our circle.
Sure.
So we've gone and done we've gone out, and everybody in the circle has driven to the other people in the circle. They've driven that and said, oh, that's the house. So the first time they're driving that route in an emergency, they don't have a problem, finding that house. That was kind of like the last big event that we did. We did and it's interesting. One of the things I always say about like the preparedness community or preppers or whatever you want to call that is like, yeah, I've got a ham radio. Well, is it programmed? What do you mean? Like, they all have to be programmed. You all have to, in order to actually execute this, a lot of people have a lot of stuff, but now we're doing more things like talking to each other on the radios on, I'll send out an email on a Tuesday night, and everybody gets on their radio and actually practices using it. Stuff like that where, yeah, you got to have the stuff, but you need the training and the practice with it to actually expect to be able to use it in an emergency situation.
Yeah, absolutely. We did an event, and I don't have to go into details, but it was a real event due to a heightened security, at a place where there were children. And we said, hey, we're going to show up, and we're going to, hand-selected folks to show up and protect children. So when we showed up, I said, bring your radio. That was one of the things. First thing you do when you get there is do a radio check, and then you start messing with these things and be like, hey, man, this earpiece sucks. Yep. That's how you find that out and go buy a better one. Yep. We say training, if you've got that gear yelling, throw me away, if you still have that, it's your fault.
That's your fault.
When it fails you in the real situation, it's your fault because you knew it stunk in training times 20 times. Mm-hmm. How about yours? Yeah, they all showed up in togas, and you just guys don't even remember what happened in the meeting?
Yeah, it's kind of a blur at this point. No, the Parker group is pretty awesome. I guess Parker leads the Parker group.
That's right.
But we have quite a few people that are in the Able Shepherd program, and the majority of which that are not or have started since then. So it's kind of building that community within the group as well. it's amazing to see all of these folks come through with just the rack cards that we, gave out with some initial things to get prepared for, and just seeing them mark things off. I told them each week just to get one thing done this week, or get 2 things done if you can.
Can you explain that real quick? You talked about the 2 and 10. There's a card that we had printed professionally. Thanks Jiminson for designing that thing and putting it out there. Flip it over. And now there's what we call the root cellar mentality. We need a starting point of you should have some things. The concept being like, if my family's taken care of, now I can go help other people, but not before. Well, let's just be honest. I'm not going to help anybody until I make sure my family is safe, and so will you. So now's the time to do that. Make sure people could secure. If you guys showed up and grab my kids, I would appreciate that, my wife, and you call me because I'm trying to make it back from Junction. I was just in Junction last week or whatever. I come back and you go, hey, your family's good, whatever, take your time, whatever, but this is where we're at. Now I see somebody that needs help, I might stop and help them, but not until then. So what is the other side?
Sure, the other side's going to have a list of just the basics of things that you would have to be able to be prepared if something were to happen. So one of the things is having a water supply on hand. So 50 gallons worth of water in case the city water isn't sending water to your house anymore. Or if your well went down and you don't have electricity, to be able to get water out of your well. Having water stored to be able to survive on. Having food to be able to survive on for 30 days. One of the biggest things I was telling on my group, and we've heard it before, is write down what you eat for this week and now times it by 4. Go buy that, and then you have food for 30 days. And then actually do it.
Yeah.
So that was one of the biggest things, too, is actually go and do this stuff. You can have all this stuff, but what we were talking about with the radios, using the radios, actually practicing with that. In this, use the water that you stored and see what that looks like instead of using the water that comes out of your faucet, or that comes out of your well. Eat for 30 days off the food that you bought. Did it work? If it didn't work, do something different. So in that gear, practicing with that gear, it's also practicing being able to be alive for 30 days if something were to happen. We constantly say to be able to do this, practice what you do. The time that it happened, the emergency that happened right now is not the time to have a class and practice what you were doing. Some of the other things on there are having a backup way to get heat, having a backup way to cook food. So cook dinner for the next week with your camp stove. And then, okay, that was working, that wasn't working, throw me away, get a different camp stove or get a bigger camp stove that could handle the pots you have or whatever that may be. So I think it's, 15 things, initial things that are on the back of that card, and just watching people check those off. And I got this, and I got this, and I got this, and I got this is awesome to see that.
Yeah. Amen. That's huge. We just went on the motorcycle ride, the fundraiser motorcycle ride that we did earlier in the year. What a great way when everybody pulled out. It's like, I've never seen so many different ways to make coffee. Like all these like jet boils and this and that, and there are presses and all this stuff, but it was amazing. And you become an expert at that stuff when every morning you're cranking out whatever to start your coffee. But other things that have been happening. So obviously, we said that invitation phase into the action phase. In my group, there's a pro-life action that is starting that I'm really excited about. I'd say some of the people are in the program, other people are not. So we've got a bunch of people that have met us for the first time through these stand, and they're just, it's drinking from a fire hose because it's so much information. We have so many resources amongst our community, and they're just so glad to pour it into people. But one of the people that are kicking that off, she doesn't call herself a leader yet. It is my intention. She will, meaning that I don't want to announce it just yet, but she's starting to head that away. And we asked, hey, peeps, I know what my calling at this moment is to draw people together. What's yours? And I really challenged them, and I heard some amazing things. There's a couple people in my, they're getting stirred internally, and they're about to jump forward, and I'm going to be right there supporting the heck out of them. So I'm excited to see what's coming in that endeavor because they're going to get my full support and end of the group. So coming soon, a couple things. Like we talked about, that gear. If you've got a bunch of cool gear, those radios, you should be talking to another human being on them. So you know how to turn it on, you know how to adjust it, what if it gets bumped, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. One of the common things on the radios that we talk about, they're inexpensive, they work, all this stuff, is it's very easy for that volume knob to get rolled on and it's all the way down. And now I'm like, my radio doesn't work. No, it's just turned way down because it rubbed on you a couple times. And I did see, and I forgot to tell you guys about this little gasket. Some of them come with a little an upgrade kit. It's basically a rubber grommet that fits in between where they hook up. No. Now it adds tension so it doesn't get rolled. So it's just little stuff like that. And then the gear. So we're going to start doing shake out little hikes, meaning just a day hike with your family. Because, obviously very, this organization, very family based, is why not get together with a bunch of people and go hiking with your kids? Like, go test that gear. Like these boots, we could talk about them all day long. You're not going to know if they work for you until you put some miles in. After a couple miles, then you start realizing, maybe these aren't the best boots or whatever.
Or pack
if this
or whatever.
pack is rubbing me raw, that's the wrong pack for you, or it's set up wrong, or it's weighted wrong, all that stuff. I know you have experience fitting people for packs.
Yep.
Knowing, going through that. I've just been spent a little bit of time on trekking poles. Now understand how to do that properly. I've been doing it wrong forever. I just be like, oh, these stink, whatever. And I'm like, I actually looked at it, I'm like, I've kind of been doing it wrong or whatever. Oh, Epic, I just thought about this while Skip Parker was talking about this. This is I'm admitting not being prepared. I had what was it? The Tacoma. I wanted to call it a Hilux, I wish. But it was a Tacoma. I lifted it, put some bigger tires on it, but just assumed that I had, a jack and all that stuff.
That would reach high enough?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
no.
So I get a flat piece of rebar. I'm at a range, federal government job, whatever. Get a piece of rebar stuck into the wheel. The tire's done. I max that thing out, and we're still touching gravel. I'm like, right? Because I didn't adjust for the lift. How do you learn that stuff? Go do it. Pull your tire off, put it back on. Then you're like, I got the wrong stuff. Then you fix it so you're not trapped on the side of the road in the rain on the interstate with the wrong stuff, and it's funny. I got up as high as I could, started digging, and dug out the hole underneath the tire to get it off to get the spare back on. So,
and you were able to dig because you were in dirt.
Because it's in gravel. If I was to have been on the concrete, I'm not sure what would have happened, but I'd still be sitting there 5-10 years ago. No, I'm just kidding.
On that same note, being prepared for the time of the year that we're in right now, right? Summertime to wintertime, and now there's different things. I got caught. One of the first snowstorms we had, I didn't have a snow brush in my truck. I'm out there with a credit card scraping my windows to try to get the ice off because I didn't have the thing that should have been in there for winter.
Yeah.
So thinking about what you would have for Colorado moving into winter, having snow and ice and all that would happen here.
Yeah. Your bag, I'm glad you brought that up, because your summer bag, if you've got a vehicle bag, which everybody should at this point, and you're heading into this weather, it's time to think about that warmy layer like we talked about. You pull out that insulation, it's time to put it back in the car. Mm-hmm. So if you're stuck on the side of the road, a couple products I'll give a shout out right now. I just went out and met the guys at Hill People Gear. We're heading down a road to be a distributor here on the Front Range with those guys. One is, theirs is called the Mountain Serape.
Oh yeah, yes, that thing is awesome. I love that thing. I'm like, there's a couple products from them that I've had for a long time, 2 to 5 years. And that is it's basically a poncho liner, with a hood and a hole for your head. And I've been like at events where it's been really cold, and it goes into like almost like a great coat kind of thing with a zipper, and it is so warm. So it lives in my truck.
Yeah.
And the other big thing and I think you're going to talk about it later on a separate thing is but they're chest rigs. They're what do they call them?
Kit bags.
That rides on your chest. They're so awesome. I've been using their packs for a little bit, put a decent amount of miles on them. They're absolutely legit. It's awesome.
Awesome. There's another one out there, and it's we basically talk about gear that we're here to benefit folks. I came across another one that I'm going to try out called the Thermarest Honcho Poncho. You seen that one? Mm-mm. It's the same concept. It's a little, the price point's a little lower. The one thing I like about yours at a glance, because I haven't spent a lot of time with it, when the wind gets kicking, man, you're going to lose effectiveness, but they've got that drawstring to zip it up and make it a great coat. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden it's holding that insulation on you. The Thermarest doesn't have that. But if you want that whoopee, put your head through it, just fits over you like a poncho, but it's insulated. That Honcho Poncho has that as well, and they both zip into a lightweight sleeping bag.
Yeah,
so
something
something you may want to have that in your vehicle. Hikes to Shakeout Gear, we'll start doing those hikes and inviting people in these groups. And it's not going to be a big formal thing. It's going to be like, I'm going to be at this trailhead at this location at 10 o'clock, and me and my kids are walking that way, and you're invited. So show up. I'm going to do 5 miles. You can do 1 mile. You can do thing 5 times backwards. You do whatever you want. But this is what we're going to do, because fitness is part of this. So the gear and being able to know that the two work together. Yourself with your gear equals that capability. And you don't know what that is yet until you go check it out. The Family Emergency Planning is a class that we've brought back to Able Shepherd by demand, meaning this Saturday, and you want to talk about that real quick? Like a Saturday, what happened Saturday?
Saturday, we had 5 families come in with their kids, or if they didn't have kids, they came in just as a husband and wife, but came in with their family, and we walked through a lot of the basics of how to be prepared with your family, and what if an emergency happened, how do you get out, or how do you, what is your plan to get out, how do you stand, how do you move, how do I move with my family that would be there, what does it look like when I'm walking with my kids and my wife? Is it a predator view where I have, just my littlest kid on the very back, or is it kids surrounded by adults? How do I actually walk through a building or walk through doors? Where does my body actually stand? So we had 5 families come in there and go through all of this, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And they walked out of there with the ability to talk to their kids or talk to the rest of their family and know where there were some weak points and get better from there, and then continue to practice the stuff that we taught on Saturday at home with a fire drill or a flood or a fire. Fire. Or if they were out at a grocery store, like your example with the Lowe's, what happened there, all those pieces to be able to get them to be prepared for something that would happen.
I think it's a critical 3-hour investment, because it was so much fun for us to do and piece together and bring back as instructors. But then, like you see a video of my kids when they're little doing a fire drill. Hilarious stuff. But the second time we did it this year, you don't have to tell them anything. They remembered it, and then they did it. And if you say, you smash a guy because you're defending your family or whatever, and you say, leg to mom, on you, and they don't know what that means, that is your fault. And I say that many times. My kids actually came in on this one, helped me teach the class. They were teaching part of the tourniquet class. They were putting tourniquets on. They all 3 of them, that's 12, 10, and 6 years old, are throwing on tourniquets like that. Why? Because we play with this stuff and we have a good time. These are life-saving skills. So those kind of things are imperative. If somebody knocks on the door, what do you say? If you're home alone, somebody knocks on the door with a babysitter or whatever, what do you say when dad's not in the house? We talk about that stuff. So that's a big, big deal. And that's now open to everyone.
That's the key thing. Yeah, it's open to anybody that's listening to this. Anybody that finds out about it, you can bring your family in to our facility, and we will train you and your family at the same time with what to do in that emergency situation.
Explain to me what we just decided right before we started this. This was going to be protector certified.
Correct. So if you have never worked with us at all, then when we're actually doing the scenarios, you're going to be doing it unarmed. And getting your family out of that situation. We have different scenarios for different levels of people. So if you're a protector certified through the Able Shepherd program or higher, then you're going to be doing it with a pistol in your hand, like you walk around with a pistol every day. So it's going to be, that part will be in appropriate scenarios for where you are as in terms of guns, no guns. We did an event, and these were Able Shepherds, but one of them didn't want to do it with guns. Not a problem at all. We also kind of modify that for the children as well. Right. So the age of the kid, the key thing is that the class is absolutely incredible, because for most people, most kids have never seen their dad move quickly and crack a dude in the face,
knock a dude out to the floor, and then yell at mom to get us out of here.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of chaos. And if it's the first time that's ever happened, it would be silly to not expect your kids to freeze. Yeah, I would expect them to freeze, and so this kind of gets them moving, and at least it gives them some level of familiarity with that kind of a situation.
Even like abduction, like what do you do if some guy tries to get you to leave, like get your kids to leave and get in a car, go look for a puppy or whatever? If you don't know what your kids would do, because everybody says my kid wouldn't go, we talked about it. You'd be surprised, because when we do this, everybody says that because they saw a video online, they tried it and they talked about it with their kid, man, they're gone. That my kid included, my son, my little boy, he just wants to help people. He would have been gone had it not been for my older daughter. She's like, whoa, no, let's get dad. We're not doing this, because we kind of trick them. We set them up. The parents are all in on this. We let them know. It's all observed. The parents are watching from a window, and we have a stranger they've never met. Try to bait them out of there. And you can, we're going to have them, you can hear it on the phone and all this kind of stuff. They're watching. And then we come out and critique the kids, and some of them eyes get big and all this kind of stuff. But if they mess that up for real for the first time, it could be just, it's too, maybe we say maybe not high risk, but it's high cost. It's way too much. It's too much at stake. So if they had messed that up, and I tell my kids this all the time, you guys messed this up, that's my fault. They love that, by the way. We went home, said that many times on Saturday, and they go, that's your fault. I'm like, hey, that was in class. So no, it means truly, if they don't know certain things, it's because dad didn't teach them. It is my fault. Okay, and I'll own that all day long. Mercy Family Planning. And then this family mountain adventure that's coming up, this poker run this spring, is going to be another thing that we are going to be planning. That was something I put on my heart to say, I really want to include the families with this, but everything we do, we want to be that much better, and then that much better, and that toward preparedness, toward being better people, all that stuff. So what we've decided is there's going to be a 5-stop poker run, and it doesn't mean motorcycles specifically. It means this will be a 4-wheel drive off-road thing. So if you have an SUV in Castle Rock and you've got 4-wheel drive, that's going to be enough. We're not not going to make it crazy like some of the stuff we've done in the past because we want get with your family and you're going to drive. There will be a buy-in because this will be a fundraiser. So 100% of the proceeds are going to go to Live Action. That is a pro-life action advocate group or activist group, I guess, to save babies. So that was something that's very, very dear to my heart. We're going to be doing this, but it would look like this. You leave with a bunch of people in a parking lot in the morning. You all sign in and pay your thing or sign in and you get your t-shirt and all that. And then you load up your family, you drive into the mountains, stop at this beautiful spot where there's a family there and there's music and they can have a snack. They can stretch your legs, very short legs of the trip. Then you go to the next one and you pull in and there's music there and there's another family sponsor and you go to another one, you go to another one, and every stop you get a card. And at the end of the day, you check your card and the best hand, if you will, like a poker hand, would win a prize. So that's what we're going to be doing and sending those proceeds because, we want to support those people on the front lines. In this endeavor, on that front, it'll be the pro-life front. So I'm excited about that.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Going to be great. What else we got? What I miss? Updates on that. Stand by. This video will be going out a link of this one and then a snippet video because I know this one's going to run a little bit longer as we're going to get a 3-ish minute highlight of this going out to those 700 plus email recipients. I still want people, just do me a favor, please. Just search your heart. Man, I can't say this enough. I've been putting this out. Jack Hibbs at Calvary Chino Hills. If you haven't look it up, Google it, and follow him on Real Talk TV. That's the leadership that I've been looking for the church. I didn't think I would be looking in California, but that surprised me. But amazing, amazing missions. I haven't listened to one yet. Rachel is addicted to them now, and if it doesn't get you fired up to step over that line and get into this game, I don't really know what will. So as far as everything that they've said is on line with what we've started and what we've been looking for, I simply didn't know they were doing it. So I'm kind of on fire right now. I'm excited. I look at this as a challenge of all these things that are happening with the election, where that's going to land. But we've said it from the get-go. Storm's coming. Let's weather it together. We are having a great time. I don't feel paranoid. I don't feel like we're overdoing it. I don't feel like any of that. I'm super excited about what's going on. I can't wait to see what 2021 has in store for us. So any closing thoughts, Parker Mansour?
I don't have anything.
Man, just happy. I'm glad to be here. Sun's
You're
shining.
outside. It's a beautiful day. I'm hanging out with my friends.
Exactly.
It's great.
Skip, got anything to sign off?
No, just the that poker run is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great way to get your family up into the mountains, doing just a really fun event. And it's a 1-day event, right? So it's just one day
event, one day,
and all ages too.
All ages. You gauge your kids and whatever. Like I said, short legs. I'll be in there with my kids, going from stop to stop, just like everybody else. It's going to be fantastic. Cool. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off until the next one. For all the updates on that stuff, you need to plug in and check out the Stand in the Gap initiative.com. Be checking that regularly. We've got the Facebook page that goes along with that. ableshepherd.com, Facebook page that goes along with that. What am I missing, BK? Podcast. Got to follow these podcasts. Do it like Perry Saul does it. And what does he do? He listens to it. Then he watches the videos. And that is, there's these Jack Hibbs and the Chino, Calvary Chino Hills, all that. It is. I'll watch those things 2 and 3 times, and I always pick up something extra. So I'd recommend it. So check it out if you're driving home or whatever. Then pull it up. Go to protectorculture.com. You can't keep me straight, brother. Protectorculture.com. Scroll to the bottom and then watch the actual videos. So that's all we got for this time. Remember, follow us on those. I don't know how it all works. Rate us, give us a star, do a review to make those algorithms.
Ratings.
I think it's algorithm. Is that right? It's a fancy word. To make the social media folks like us more and promote us and get the word out there more. But keep tracking on us, guys. We appreciate what you're doing out there. Like I said, please look at this as a challenge. Everything changes. The mindset changes when you look at it that way. And we're here to guide you. If you pass us up, we're here to follow you. And we'll just keep heading in the right direction. So until we see you guys again, God bless and take care of one another.